Sure, that's so quiet.
That was fast 3. Thought I'd share those with council as well. No. This used to belong to the city of Heath. Yeah. It's in Nevada, somewhere out in the desert.
I think we haven't dressed up our fire trucks like that yet.
This is called Heath. This was their original bus. It's a microbus that holds about 40 people.
That's 5:30. We can get on. Well, I don't have myself here for the committees. Deb and Todd are not here, but we'll go ahead, and we don't have any legislative requested.
We do have 2 legislative requests. I can pull those off to the end if you like. They're under item number 6.
Sorry.
Go ahead, John.
Okay. Item number 1, a couple of months ago, Council appropriated funding to allow me to clear up a stormwater drainage property on a piece of property where new construction occurred, but the property was abandoned. We have since done that and have paid the contractor. And what I would like to do is recoup the city's costs for that. Since I do not know the address of the property owners, what I'm recommending is that we just send this statement down to the county auditor and have them put it against the tax duplicate. The amount that it cost us to correct the problem was $1,900. I'm also tacking on a $100 administration fee. The reason it's so high is it took a lot of work on the part of my office, a lot of trips up there to coordinate everything. So that's probably a reasonable fee.
Where's the property?
It's at 700 Alpine Circle in the Willow Ridge subdivision. So this is just for your copy. Gwen has a copy as well.
Okay.
Ward 3. Ward 3.
Okay with that?
From what I heard, the part that I heard I am.
Okay.
Yeah, Ward 3's bad.
Not bad, Ward 3. You have to go clean it up, you have to go clean it up.
Okay. Item number 2, sounds kind of funny, the State Route 79 Kokona's bump. It almost sounds like a dance. What happened is a couple of months ago, a contractor for Kokona's had to bore underneath 79 to install a large fire line, water line, for fire suppression. After they did the boring, a hump or bump appeared in the center of State Route 79, right where they did the boring. So we contacted the contractor, and the contractor, about a week ago, cut the area out where some of the bump was to look in to make sure there was no damage to the piping or anything like that, and that was fine. This isn't seen very often, but apparently it's just the pressure of the boring machine, boring and shoving everything through, pushed the soil and the asphalt up. So in the next couple of days, they're going to go out there, fill in the hole they made, and smooth everything out. And I just wanted to let you know what was going on there. Okay, if you go down 79, you turn around and you drive north right in front of Kokona's. If you drive in the lane, the northbound lane next to the center turn lane, you'll go over the bump. It's very noticeable. So we're getting that taken care of as well.
Do they move them, do you?
No, I haven't heard. You're not the first person to ask me that
2
question.
years running them.
Yeah, yeah. But it's looking nicer and nicer all the time. So I think they want to open it now. Are any questions on that? Item number 3, Marathon Oil is putting together an emergency response plan. If they have a situation there where one of their tanks ruptures and they have a spill of oil, they have dikes to prevent the oil from getting out. However, should it get out and should it go into a little drainage stream that runs behind Marathon Oil, it's the same one that goes by the Davis Shea House into that detention pond and eventually ends up at the South Fork of the Licking River. They have to have a plan to try and stop the oil if it gets along that path from getting to the South Fork of the Licking River. What they're proposing to do, if they have the city's permission, is to put in devices called weirs. I think it's W-E-I-R-S. They're a dam. They're a reverse dam. They actually go down, and what they do is they allow water, instead of going over their top, to go underneath, because oil floats on the surface. So what they do is they basically stop the oil that's on the surface with these weirs and allow fresh water to go underneath. They'd like to install 2 of these. One at the drainage culvert that goes underneath the driveway at the Davis Shea House. And I've already talked to the Davis Shea House people, and they would like to consider it a little more to make sure that it's aesthetic and everything like that. And also one on South 30th Street, right behind Kroger's, we have a culvert that goes underneath 30th Street and then continues down to the park. They'd like to put one there as well. They were going to be here tonight and they couldn't make it. So what I'm going to do is schedule them again for next month's Community Development Committee meeting. I just wanted to give you an idea of what we were talking about, what they were asking for. They have pictures of these devices and everything else. I don't think it's anything that is going to impact us. It can help them, but they need to explain it, not me. So they will be here next month. Just wanted to give you a heads up on that.
This is the EPA proposing this?
No, it's Marathon Oil. It's part of an emergency response
The
program.
EPA is telling them they need to do something.
Probably. That's what I'm guessing. So they have a book of emergency procedures that they follow. If this particular emergency comes up, then they just drop the weirs or the gates to prevent the oil on the surface from, theoretically, going out to the river. But I'd rather let them explain it and stuff in more detail. So just to give you an idea, that's one of the things that will come next month. Do you have any questions on that? If not, item number 4. Every 3 to 4 years, LCATS updates its project list. This is one of those years. So this month, all of the groups that belong to LCATS are presenting to them project proposals for LCATS to review. And then LCATS will select the projects that they have funding for. They'll prioritize them. And then if they have $5 million in these years the projects are proposed, then they spread out and select the projects that amount to that. The years that they're considering projects for are 2017, 18, and 19. Now in 2017 we already have a project. These are calendar years. So really, these are fiscal years. So our calendar years are really 2016, 17, and 18. In 2016, our calendar year, we have the Hopewell Drive project. So we already have a project on the list for that year that's already funded. Now our match for that project would be about $146,000. So council just approved at the last meeting preliminary legislation for that project. When the final legislation comes right after that, we'll have to appropriate the funding for it. So we're looking at calendar 2016 to have $146,000 available. I don't know if one of our street funds or the gas tax fund or anything like that. Okay. Wherever we choose to bring the money out of.
So about 150.
About 150. Right. In 2018, we got a pleasant surprise, really. The mayor and I met with ODOT about 2 weeks ago. And ODOT has a program called Urban Paving, where they pave state routes going through municipalities. And they would like to pave State Route 79 from Andover Road to Kaiser Drive in our year 2017, the next year after Hopewell Drive. Our match for that is between $375,000 and $400,000. It's a lot of pavement. So we will have to have money appropriated in 2017 for that. This can screw up our own street paving if we're not careful here, because that's a large amount. But so that will follow the year after Hopewell Drive. And ODOT will do all the design work and stuff like that. We pay basically for our 20% match. Just like Hopewell Drive, that $146,000 is our 20% match. It's not the total cost of the project. The $375,000 to $400,000 will be our 20% match for the urban paving project.
There's no PWC money available for that.
Get to that in a minute.
Pardon me.
Okay. And that leaves our calendar year 2018, where we, if we want to, have the opportunity to apply for LCAT's projects. This week, the mayor and Bob Geller, Matty Hunt and I are going to sit down and discuss priorities for projects for that year, should we wish to present projects to LCAT's. Now, Jeff brought up a point. The best mechanism we have to pay for the city's 20% match in any federal project or LCAT's project is to apply for OPWC funding. Most of the time we're successful in doing that, such as with the Hopewell Drive Bridge and the other projects before that. So what we will do is, at the appropriate time, we will apply for OPWC funding for the urban paving project, and then the next year we will apply for OPWC funding for whatever project we choose after that. Now, one of the things we've always had a problem is with OPWC funding, generally we don't get 2 projects in a row over a 2-year period. We usually get 1 every other year when we apply. However, I've checked with Bill Lozier, the county engineer, because he basically heads up our district's OPWC, and said, hey Bill, we haven't asked for an OPWC project. It will be 5 years by the time we ask for the next one. I said, wouldn't that make us eligible to be considered for 2 projects in a row, because it's such a long time for him, Frank? And he can't guarantee anything. He can't say yes, but he did say he was favorably inclined to support that under the circumstances.
It's a compelling argument.
It is. And he cannot guarantee we'll get 1 OPWC project, let alone 2 in a row. But he thinks because of the timing of our projects, especially over the past 5 years not having any, or 5 years when the time comes, that we stand to have a reasonable chance of getting that. But again, it's competitive.
Still a point scoring model kind of system for that kind of stuff. I can't imagine the traffic counts on those 2 roads not fit.
The traffic counts, there are several ways. There are 14 categories that you're scored in. Traffic counts, traffic usage is one of those categories. Other categories are the frequency of how often you get these. So the less frequency you have, the better your chances are. Another category is how much is your match. Now, fortunately, our match is the LCAT's match. So we're saying we're going to pay for 75–80% of the project, which is huge. So there are a lot of things in our favor when it comes to OPWC grants being the match for Ohio Public Works grants. But there's never a guarantee. OPWC funding is limited. It's getting very competitive, so you never know. Even the LCAT's funding is becoming very competitive, so there's not a guarantee. What's happening is the federal government is getting less and less gas tax because gas usage is being reduced. All of the funding for LCAT's projects actually originates with gas tax. So if the federal government has less gas tax, they send less money to ODOT. If ODOT has less money because of less gas tax, LCAT's has less money because of less gas tax. So anyway, it's a tough game to play.
Those are both federal highway
They're both federal highway.
on the list, right?
Yes.
So that mileage, all federal should count too.
Yes, it should.
Right.
Yes. So anyway, just wanted to give you an update on that. The mayor and I will have more information later in the week, and if you'd like to discuss it when we have the street committee meeting, we can also do that. But, the time frame.
What's the source of the OPWC funding? Is
It's
that straight from the state, or is that tied in?
no, it's actually bonds. The state sells bonds,
That's right.
and the bond money is used to furnish OPWC projects.
Okay.
It's really a good deal.
Okay.
So anyway, that's where we stand on that. These are major projects. We have two of them coming up, Buffalo Drive and the 79 paving. And so we want to see if we can get a third one for year 28. Any questions on that? Okay, if not, something more important. City Hall and Halloween and Christmas events. The Friendship Club of Licking County last year decorated City Hall for both Halloween and Christmas, and they would like to do it this year again. And we've given them a tentative yes on that, and they'd like to get organized, but they need council's help, not to get dressed up in costumes or anything like that. But okay, that's your call. But what they'd like to do is they'd like to have a Halloween event here on Thursday, October 23rd. And this is where they decorate the place, and they have hundreds of kids come through, and they give them candy and stuff. They would like to start setting up for this on Monday, October 20th. And the caucus room is one of the rooms that they set things up in. And they were wondering if, I think it's August 20th.
October, right?
October 20th. October 20th. That the council meet in the conference room in the hall so they can decorate here. So I just wondered if that's okay.
Basically, we'll be out of here till the first of the year.
That's what I'm gonna get to.
I'll be Mr. Negative. Why do we have it here? Why don't they do it at the David Shea House? Why do we have City Hall be a Halloween event? Why do we have to be at a Christmas event? I don't see why we're competing two different functions and stuff.
I'm not here to even discuss that issue. I'm here to ask you. I mean,
Well, right now I'd say no for using this room and using council chambers or the thing over there. It's my opinion. I don't see why we need to have a Halloween event. I just don't see why we have to have it here. Why it has to utilize this facility. I just don't.
I'm not even going to argue the subject.
Okay, I'm just saying
Yeah.
that's my opinion, John. So
That's fine.
go from there.
If I can say something on that point. The Arts Council has had a Halloween event. I think when I first took office, Jan and I sat down. We talked about the need for there to be more events at the Shea House that were free and more events that were focused on families. And Jan actually was the one that came up with the idea of a Halloween event, the idea of having kids be able to come in to have decorations and stations along the route where kids would be able to get little treats or goodies or whatever, right? And I believe also the Arts Council had this event last year too. I believe, if memory serves, the most people that I can recall having attended this type of event at the Shea House was about 300. About 100 and, gosh, it's been a while because this has been one that was maybe a few years ago. About 175 kids, and then their parents or grandparents or whoever else, that would have brought them in. About 300 people total. Last year, the Friendship Club had a Halloween open house here. Similar type of concept and everything. And from the city's perspective, all we really did last year was unlock the doors and turn the lights on. They came, they decorated, I can't remember how long or how far in advance they had set up some of their decorations, but they came and they put them in and staffed the event for that evening. I know it was wildly popular from an attendance perspective. My assistant had volunteered to help them that evening, and so they asked her to kind of get a head count of how many people went through, and they had a little route that they all went through, and she counted over 1,300 people having passed by her desk, for that period of time. Now I would imagine probably some people maybe went through twice, try to get more goodies or whatever. Yeah. But I also know that there were people that never even bothered to enter City Hall because the line was out the door and down the walk and over that way, and there were other things to do outside that they had, like some trucks and things, and I think the county brought the sheriff's office brought like a SWAT like vehicle truck thing or whatever. I think last year Tony Shepard may have been there with the Heath car or one of the cruisers or something like that. So there were things outside to do as well, for kids. Why that event was so popular and so well attended here last year in relation to similar type event that was held at the Shea House, I don't know. What I do know is that the Halloween event that was here was wildly popular. They had planned for 200 kids, had gotten candy for 200 kids and had told the other groups that were here that they were planning on, maybe 200 kids. I think they made 6 or 7 separate trips to the store to buy more candy because, the kids kept coming and the kids kept coming. So, why here, Tim? I don't know. It seemed to be a hit for some reason with a lot of people last year to have it here.
And there is no cost to the city. These people set up, take down, clean up, buy all the candy. So.
I guess, I struggle a little bit because you don't want to sound like Scrooge. Ebenezer is not my first name. But I did struggle a little bit last year with being a professional government office and having a shutdown for that long because I think a government office is not being, Santa's Toys in Wonderland kind of thing. But what about something like Kovac Park? Did they use that for the Halloween event? I mean, they don't want to go to the Shea House. Maybe there's other options other than shutting down business.
The building isn't shut down at all.
Mm-hmm. No, but we shut down like the meetings in here, and it's like you can't really get to your stuff, and it's kind of. I even wonder if it's a fire hazard sometimes. The way it was all, I don't know. Chief Huggins would probably tell us if it was, but I guess it just, the Halloween didn't bother me as much as the Christmas because it went on for so long. The sticks that were out until the first of the year, and we're not using the space. It's my 2 cents.
I think they did have more I think they did have the decorations up for a longer period of time for Christmas, because I think
Weeks.
they
Yeah.
kind of wanted the place decorated for the Christmas season.
It says
I know that there were a lot of
24th
people,
November.
you know, back in my office, I don't necessarily see everybody that comes to the front window. But, you know, we have a number of people each month who come in and pay their water bill here, as opposed to the box or mailing it in or whatever.
What do you think?
I think people seem to enjoy
Yeah,
seeing the
and
Christmas
I want the
decorations
kids to
around.
enjoy and all that, but I worried a little bit about the security of the building with them, people just wandering back through your private office areas. You know, I don't know if you have files that are out. I mean, you couldn't possibly watch 1,300 people as they went through the building with a few people volunteering. I don't know.
It is more than a few people volunteering.
I know, but I mean,
it was very well staffed.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, that was an aspect that we talked about in the office is, hey, look, make sure you got your stuff off your desk. Make sure that there's nothing out within sight, you know, that you wouldn't want to have seen from a management perspective. We had talked about aspects like that.
But for that whole period, that would be a long time to get through that. But anyway, that's just.
Has anyone here heard any negative comments from the public about it? I mean, you do work for the public, as I do.
They didn't hear any positives, other than, you know.
Well, anyway, I guess the question is, would you like to do it? Yes, no?
I don't care if you do it, in my opinion, I don't care if you do it or not. I mean, it doesn't bother me, I didn't have it here, I'll have the meeting and dollar range.
In consideration of the thousands of people that rolled through these two events, I find very little inconvenience to me at the conference room. For our meetings, no problem.
I'm not doing it for the inconvenience of the council or whatever. I'm just saying you got a facility that was supposed to have public things, activities, and going on, and now you're creating another facility to have like events and stuff like that. I think you're just circumventing the whole reason you have that. You have a facility over there. Use the facility. Anything. It's almost like they don't want to use it. I mean, let them use the facility and have it over there and get everyone that came here just drive over that way and through. I mean, I just, you know, it's almost like if someone said, you know, hey, we're going to have a fireworks display. Can we use Geller Park to have fireworks, and we're going to have it on the 4th or the 3rd or something, anything. And we're going to have a big band to come. It's going to be free to everybody. So no one will come to our thing on the 2nd because they're going to come there or whatever. It's like, why would you compete in anything? I just don't see having two competing things at the same time. If they want to do something completely different at a different time, that makes sense. But to have it at the same time doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And I'm not sure why. I guess I'm not a kid anymore. I don't have little kids that go through and stuff, but I don't see the need to have candy and stuff for kids to go get. I mean, it's all over the town, every place you can go. I mean, it's just like if you had a small community and there was houses were miles apart, you could say, all come together in a little community and get together. But Heath is not that little community. I just don't see the attraction, I guess. I don't know. I mean, they had a good time. Maybe they had a great time the first year, but the second year it gets redundant and you won't have hardly anybody. I don't know. I'm just saying I don't see why we're using this facility to have a party in. I mean, why don't we start, hey, can we use this room and have a catering? I want to have a birthday party, and instead of me renting the Shea House, I want to rent this table for the night. I mean, tomorrow night, can I come in here and have a party and all that kind of stuff? Because I don't want to rent the Davis Shea House. It's cheaper to just use this. I mean, I think I just don't see the point.
I think
if they want to decorate, it's one thing, but to have this function and going through, I don't see the need for it.
I think you bring up an extremely good question that I would love. If anybody has any insight as to what the answer may be, I would love to hear it.
Well,
Why was the event here last year so broadly attended? Tim, I don't know either, because I was thinking the same thing too. This is an open house at City Hall. I wasn't sure I understood the attraction of it either, and it was extremely similar to the type of event that the Arts Council had held for years at the Davis Shea House. Like I said, the first Halloween since I was mayor, I think, was the first one that they did. Why was it so popular here and well attended here in relation to the years that they've had a similar event that's been at the Davis Shea House? I don't know. I'd love to have an answer for that. If anybody has any thoughts or reasons, I'd be interested to know. But all I know is that it was unbelievable, the number of people that were here. Like I said, the line was ridiculous. I mean, I couldn't believe it, but it was.
I don't have a real problem with Halloween. I do have a bit of a problem of competition at Christmas time with the decoration. I don't have a problem with that.
Would it not be nice to kind of try to gently push this friendship club to maybe head back to the Davis Shea House to become a new center? I know the friendship club is not just the people that were left over, remnants that were mad and
Correct.
and left, but the goal is to rebrand, push the reset button, and make the Shea House somehow productive and successful in some way. And it looks to me like the energy that the Friendship Club had to put on such a significant event. Some of it was maybe driven by there could be all kinds of motives behind the success of that. But part of the issue relative to those that left the Shea House has kind of been resolved, and maybe this is the time for there to be a remerger there.
That would be great if you could make that happen, in my opinion, and they certainly could use that group's help. I'm sure right now the board could use their help, but I don't know how you make that happen.
I don't know either.
Well, I mean, I don't mind trying to. I wouldn't mind trying to be a bridge to make something like that happen. There are hurdles, Brian, and no doubt about it. There are hurdles. I wouldn't mind trying to be a bridge to make that happen.
That seems like a logical pathway.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's an easy path.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Well, but I mean, if there's a future for the Shea House, I think if everybody that was packing the council chamber in a lot of ways was having the same message. They want a successful Davis Shea House.
Yeah.
They want that to be a success.
Well, present it to them that way, and kind of, if you guys wanted this to be successful,
I'd love to see that happen.
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, boy, I gotta tell you, last year I was really dumbfounded by the number of people, that came here. I remember, what time did that thing wrap up last year? Was it like 7 o'clock or something like that? Yeah. And I remember calling Jan, it was during the thing, and saying, hey, how's the turnout? She's like, oh my gosh, we've had to make 5 different candy runs, to try to have enough candy for all the kids that are here and everything. I have never really been able to put my finger on why that event was such a hit here last year, but gosh, there were hundreds of kids that came through here, and that's not a bad thing at all. You know, to be able to have things wherever, be able to have things to do in your community and have kids and families like that participate. That's not a bad thing. I can try to. I can certainly try to do whatever I can do to try to be a bridge and see if there's something that can happen there. I suppose it's worth a shot.
I thought a lesser Christmas decoration here, where this foyer is decorated well, but not expanding near to the degree that it was. If we could get
with
some
all the
of
stuff
that,
set up around in
yeah. It was a little much, and I let it be known that I thought the Hawaii or the Halloween screaming ghouls in my office that would yell at, screech at me when I went by was, I ended up going in there and closing my office door. And I usually have like an open door policy.
I know I got a couple of calls, and they told me not to say which church it was. I know it wasn't our church. There's a couple of them said, "Why do you guys promote Satanism?" And I said, "Come again?" I said, "I think it was for kids." But with that, I never heard of it until a couple of years ago. And I guess something about Halloween.
Yeah. Well, its roots are pagan, and there's those that
We're not promoting anything. The friendship club.
But back to the question, what response do you want me to give?
I think I like Heath's idea. I think we explore that and see where it goes.
Well, it'll have to be quick, I would assume, because they're playing. I mean, what are we? We're in September now. It takes some time to plan things. It takes some time to
see how friendly the friendship club is. That's going to be interesting, and I don't relish yours.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
Well, and we can, at next month's meeting, vote it in if we have to here. Because they aren't one, other than candy, they have Mary Lane's got everything, everybody's there.
I've got no problem with having us move.
Yes, October 30th.
Let's Cletus, what do you say? What do you think? Should they, can we move our meeting or?
No, I like Keith.
And if
Another
that
way-
don't happen, then what?
Another way, our church is a long time, we've been having same night, last year we kind of bummed out because they all come down here, but everybody would go there and park their cars, anybody could go, we give out candy to kids, and they had a lot of activities there in the gymnasium and outside both for kids to play, Maybe they could work out something with the local churches that way too. But I like City Hall decorating out here for Christmas. I think that was really neat.
Okay, so I'm trying to think of it because again, these folks need to be able to plan. I assume, right, John?
That's why I'm asking.
So I understand. I understand making the effort and reaching out.
Can I add a couple pennies?
Who's committee?
Say this?
I am helping with the event, okay? I'm on the committee. And they have talked about a couple of different things that happened last year that they would change this year. And one was not to decorate any of the offices and not go through the office or the hallway. So that's one thing. Scratch that. I think the reason it's here for Halloween is because it was a great parking lot to park big trucks. We had the big fire truck, we had a big bucket truck, we had state highway. We had, Tony had his car out there. We had the helicopter from VBA was here, stuff like that. I've got some ideas, and I've probably got 4 or 5 new trucks that are coming to this event this year. So the other thing, waiting another month to let them know is not going to be good, because Dwayne and I gave the signs last year that they distributed around, but they also are giving out a flyer to all the school kids in time for this to be planned. So they need time to print where this is going to be and stuff like that. So I don't know if you really want to wait till next month to make that decision for October.
I mean, October 6th.
See, and the
fine.
event's the 23rd, and if you want to advertise,
You put
I
it
mean,
out to the school kids for that week, it's gonna get lost for it.
If I remember right, what they did last year's, I mean, I remember, Audra and Emily used to come home from school with things in their folder that that would be given to them, and say, hey, as part of the packet that the parents, look at every night or whatever. It was that kind of a thing. It was like a Xerox thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was that my
this was our sign last year. I just had Dwayne print it today so we can change the date. That's just what was on the sign. Now, her flyer that she gives out to the kids and sends to all the churches for the other kids, it's a lot more detailed. I have nothing to do with that, but she gets it printed way ahead of time. So that's all I'm concerned with.
Oh, could we maybe bring it back on the Parks Rec and David Shea House Committee in 2 weeks? Because that's a little bit sooner, since we're talking about, the possibility of working with David Shea.
Yeah.
Maybe that would
To me, I think that gives you enough time to make an honest effort.
Yeah.
And then, again, it takes 2 to tango. If it goes somewhere, if it doesn't go somewhere, then by then we should be able to know. John, what do you think? What's your sense?
I think the group needs time to plan. I think you're going to alienate the group if you defer the decision.
Well, then why ask us if we can't make a decision? Two-sided.
I would just ask for my opinion, and that's it. I mean, I'll tell you what, this is an opportunity for the city to look very good. It was very successful last year through no effort that you had to make, through no contribution you had to make, through no sacrifice you had to make, and the city and you look very good. Now this year you're coming up with other theories. You're throwing politics. You're throwing the David Shea House in there. You're muddying the
That was
waters.
brought up a year ago.
Okay, well,
It's not now.
I was asked for my opinion. You're getting my opinion. I don't care whether anyone likes it or not. That's my opinion. It's not because I have anything to do with it. I really don't. I do help them, sure. But as an outsider looking in, this is one of the things that makes the city great. And you're just screwing around with it. You're playing around with it. It's kind of disgusting. This particular point. And if you can't give an opinion tonight that you need 2 more weeks, you needed 2 more weeks for the David Shea House, come on. As an average citizen, give some respect to everybody over there. Give some respect to the people that want to do this. Make a decision and stand by it. That's my opinion.
Becky, do we have a sense of, or the date is what the date is?
They've pretty well confirmed that that's the date they're going to.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
23rd. I think it was Tuesday following last year. So.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was a little later. So.
Okay, so if the date is what the date is, I mean, we'd have to even see if the David Shea House is available. Brian, like you said, there's plenty of hurdles to cross. If the date is what the date is, the location on the information could be changed, right?
Could be, yeah.
I mean, I've got to think that
Yeah, it could be.
we're talking September 15th. 5 weeks before it? Mm-hmm. Am I looking at that calendar right? About 5 weeks before it? maybe 4.5. Here's what might be best. We go into this with the intention of trying to, as Keith said, have some sort of coming together, right? But can we at least say now that if that doesn't happen, that this location can be used? You guys are okay with meeting across the hall? Can we at least say that?
I'm okay. I'm okay with that.
Dick, please, Deb, Tim? Okay. So then that's the way we'll
No
approach it.
answer.
I got that as a no answer, Tim. All right, so that's the way we'll move forward. All right. You know, it can be here. If it needs to be here, it will be here. We'll make an effort to try to see what we can bring together. And if we can make it happen over there and cross numerous hurdles, including whether or not the date's even available, then we'll do it. Is that good? Good. Go ahead, John.
I take it it's best to defer Christmas at this point.
Yeah. Well, let's see what happens over the next week or two. Yeah.
Then the last item. What other questions?
Oh, no, we got 50th, right?
Yeah, we got 50. Okay. At the Parks and Recreation meeting last month, we discussed funding for both the 50th anniversary and for the Armed Forces Day Parade. I do have some legislative requests for those. If that's all right, what we'll do is we'll get those things funded because we do have preparations that we're going to have to probably begin in the next couple of months.
As we discussed last time, basically what you got.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
So I have two, one for each month.
Second.
Any questions on that? Then if not, the last item, I labeled it Mistress Groundbreaking. And I think everyone's aware that occurred last week. The mayor attended, and another company that's invested in the city of Heath. This is really just a portion of what's happening. There's been a lot of development talk and a lot of development progress in the city in the last year. And it hasn't happened in years. And the fact that it's happening in the manufacturing sector now is very good. So I just want to thank the mayor because I think you'll realize that he's really the primary mover and doer as far as all this goes. And he's done an incredibly good job on this. And you can't say too much in regard to these types of investments being made in the city because they're bringing jobs and taxes and everything else. None of these bring 100,000 people at one time. They may bring 50, 60, 100 people, but they're happening. We're not losing, we're gaining. It's been a long time since we've been able to say that. So it's Mistress. We're making grounds. We're actually constructing on a site next to that. There are other discussions that are going on about other things that really can't be discussed at this particular point. But it's been a good year, and it looks like it's going to continue to be a good year for the law. So I think we all owe the mayor a great deal of thanks for that. He's done an incredibly good job. So
Well, I appreciate that. I'm always quick to try to share the praise, and John and Eddie, their reputation for ease of being able to work with precedes them. And it's valuable to us when projects like this come about. I also know that it's this body that helped to put in place things like the municipal income tax incentive, the expansion of the CRA zone that took place, what's it been now, almost 3 years?
Yes.
So, it takes team effort, no doubt about it. And when I was at that groundbreaking for Mistras, I talked a little bit about how we try to do what we can and put in place policies and approach economic development with an attitude that helps to make our community a place where businesses want to locate and where businesses are able to thrive and grow. And you don't really know whether or not what you're doing is helping until you have a situation like Mistras, where they had options and they chose to stay in the city of Heath and to go into a new building that will actually give them the capability of expanding the work that's done there and potentially then the workforce that works there. So being able to have a company like Mistras make that commitment to the city, I think helps to show all of us that what we've been doing together is working and that we need to continue to do that. So thank you for your kind
It's all
comments.
true. It's just the truth.
I appreciate that.
That's all I've got.
Anyone else have any questions? 6:21, we adjourn.
I need a couple minutes, we'll go right into finance.
I need one, please. Thank you. Thank you, John. Okay.
This one,
Got some more? Another one down here, Jim.
you have one of those back.
We need, I think, make copies.
That's all right. That's all right.
We okay?
Yeah, we're fine.
There's one in your in basket too.
I'm sorry, yeah, I was.
It's okay. I count these pretty close.
Yeah,
I know who's
yeah.
gonna be here, somewhat. Well, try not to make too many. There's usually a couple, 2, 3 left over.
Okay, we'll start finance at 6:22. 3 legislative requests this evening. First one, authorize and direct the mayor to enter into an agreement with CMI for applications within the city.
That's a new one. You want us to talk about that a little bit?
You'll see in other items on the finance committee agenda, the Sanderson CMI is a company that we have used since, I think, 1993, at which time Carolyn Broyles utilized Don Schoenhart with Schoenhart and Associates to take the city's software applications into the late 20th century. And we started with a character-based system and then went to a window-based system. And now we're taking that, urging council consider taking that next step into software technology. And I was participant in the last upgrade, and I think looking back retrospectively, it may have been an error on my part to not move into the new version software application as soon as it was available. CMI presented their new Windows-based version that was a significant improvement over the predecessor, and I drug my feet and ended up buying into the system 5 to 7 years after they did it. So what that basically meant was that we were only able to utilize that Windows-based system for about 5 or 6 years instead of the 10 or 12 years that it was in use. So by dragging our feet, we didn't enjoy the technology that was available. And so I've inquired with Don, who remains a consultant for the city, about whether CMI's new version should be employed here, or whether we should take steps and go shop and look at other software solutions. And Don's evaluation is that we should stay with CMI and ultimately purchase their new versions of the software. Some of their new versions are not even finished. Tax is not quite finished, but the CMI has offered a 25% discount for signing on, and it's in total for all of the applications going to be approximately $83,000, and we're looking at that cost to be spread over the different departments really over the next 2 years. I don't think we'll see any of the applications that would be started until 2014. So we're looking for budget years 14 and 15. And the very first one that we would get involved with would be the utility. That's a big one. And that one is up and running, has been up and running for I think at least 2 years. So to be able to take advantage of that 25% discount, that's my recommendation, that you adopt legislation that's on tonight's agenda.
We've had users attend users conference gatherings, CMI. Denise was there, right?
Denise has been there. Becky has been to a user conference.
Denise on the utility side, Becky would be on the accounts payable side. When Becky went, to be fair, she was probably so new that, you know, there was nothing that alarmed her about the new software. Denise, frankly, I think liked the new software from CMI. Before becoming mayor, I worked for about 10 years as a project manager for a software company and dealt with things like this. So we tried to ask some questions and probe a little bit to see how flushed out, you know, some of these modules are. And as Heath said, the utilities one, which we use every day, has been in place for a couple of years. We've had some updates to it, which means that there are other users that have been using it, have maybe found items or issues and brought them to CMI's attention and they fixed them. So there's been other users who have helped smooth the road a little bit. particularly with the utilities module, I don't think we're guinea pig. From the background and perspective that I had with my previous employment, taking a look at this, I concur with Keith that I think this is something that we ought to go ahead and engage in. As Keith said, this is a rollout that will take place over the next couple of years, and there's different modules and there's different budgets that paying for those modules come out of, and we were even talking about whether or not this is something that we would need to bring before this body, but we feel that by doing it in this way, it helps to eliminate any questions, make sure that we do cover our bases. And so you'll notice that the legislative request asks to waive the bidding process and to declare an emergency. That's because it's at the end of this month that we have that window of opportunity for that discount. And given what we did looking into it, I think it's worth us getting.
I just have a question. So we don't have CMI now.
We do.
We do have. Okay, so
Correct.
this is an upward.
Yes.
Okay.
And it will be less. Don Schoenhardt advises me that if I were to evaluate other vendors, there would be significant more difficulty in changeover. You need to have great cooperation on both ends of that. And he also indicates that he thinks this will be by far less expensive for us.
In implementing a different software provider's solution. There's always pain with implementing a new software tool into your business. It's unavoidable. This CMI product, I think, is going to get done what we. I think the CMI product gets done what we currently do and gives us some capabilities that we don't currently have. It'll be nice.
This was something that I very easily could have just pushed under the rug and let the next auditor deal with this. I think it's prudent for me to go ahead and do this.
How many departments can you spread it over? Is every department utilize the system?
For general admin, well, let me go through the different applications. There is utility, which is water and wastewater, and that will be a significant one, so that obviously will be paid by water and wastewater fund. There will be accounts payable and budget. Accounts payable is general admin, but honestly, accounts payable are payable to water and wastewater as well. I'll have to take a look and see just where that would be, but I think that'd be general admin. Fixed assets is spread among all departments. So
The payroll.
there's payroll, obviously, is spread among bill tax and tax. So there should be a total of 6. There's accounts payable, budget, utility, fixed assets. What am I missing? Tax, payroll. 6.
No upfront money needs to be in this
this-
calendar.
The appropriations would be in the appropriations would be in the 14 budget.
15.
Oh yeah, that's just 14. Yeah, 15 budget. Yeah, thanks.
That's my point.
Thanks.
No,
Yeah, there's no
we don't want
appropriation
to
now.
write a
This
check
Yeah.
this fourth quarter.
No. What they're looking for is the mayor's signature to be able to turn on that discount.
We're talking about
Even the implementation of the utility module wouldn't be before the end of the year.
questions? Committee? Second item, we already went over 50th anniversary support appropriation, $7,500. General fund to cover that. Any other questions? Cletus? No? Any comments?
Is that coming out of this year's general fund or next year? How are we doing that? I mean, as far tying up the money, or?
We can appropriate it now, have a blanket, and that blanket can carry over into next year. Right?
Encumber the money into next year.
I'm just saying when we do the 200 or the 200, how many million do we start with? Whatever the number is for the general budget at the beginning of the year, whatever it is. When you get to that, how does that affect that when you do that? You know what I mean? When you balance back out to zero, how does that affect that?
Well,
I mean, I know it's
$2
a
million
minor slice, but
is an unencumbered balance.
yeah. So if it's not encumbered,
But this is.
This would encumber the money. So the $2 million is an unencumbered balance.
Okay, and right into the third one's gonna be very similar, $10,000, for the Armed Forces Day Parade. Cletus, any other comments? Everybody okay with this? Same kind of encumbrance, correct?
Yes.
Other items, Heath?
Item 1 we've already discussed. Item 2, we're gonna hold our next city impound lot auction. Will be a whole new game. We're gonna be down here at Jay's Towing where we are storing impounded vehicles. And we're gonna be on Saturday, October 25th at 10 a.m., which should be plenty of time to make the Penn State game at 8 p.m. that evening.
you got a lot of vehicles.
Yeah, I think we've got quite a few. Maybe will be a record. Karen over in the police department is doing a fantastic job of getting these turned around. This is just been real good. Anyway, October 25th, plan to come by a vehicle or two.
Audra's getting her license.
Never,
I think
you
that
never
was a
know.
start.
No cream puffs, huh?
Yeah.
Come on.
There actually is
Question of whether it's just one.
there is actually a real cream puff down there that has a blown engine. But aside from
Aside from that,
Good cars. Just hit the driveway.
there you go,
Don't get in it.
Oh yeah, that'll go over.
I forget what kind of Pontiac. I think maybe a Bonneville.
It's really safe.
Yeah, there you go.
It's,
I think it's got a
good
great
practice, all the
engine.
mirrors and all the other.
Yeah.
Somebody will buy that and return that to the road, no doubt.
Okay.
All right.
It picks up on the left.
Speaking of cream puffs.
Yeah, speaking of cream puffs, the dump truck that I sold to that poor guy in Texas for $2,025 that I basically let off the hook and relisted the dump truck. I attempted to get the back bidders to buy it, and neither would. So I relisted the dump truck a second time, and it did not achieve what it did before. But it sold for $1,675 to a gentleman from West Virginia who has already paid for it, but has not picked it up. You may have noticed it sitting back there in the pool parking lot. He indicated he's going to bring a semi-flatbed up here, and he said he was worried about having enough space to be able to jockey around and get that truck up. So I moved the truck back there, and it's sold, and that's it.
No daily impound fees for extended storage.
Yeah, that'd be nice. We'll see how long that it takes Okay, last item I'm going to pass around. I don't know what caused me to check on this, but you may remember about 3 or 4 years ago, I sold on eBay our Walter crash truck. All right, and it went to an interesting guy down in Arizona who is a medical doctor, and he has a club they call the Tribe, and they had built a giant double-size version of a Volkswagen microbus. This Volkswagen microbus would maybe hold 40 people, and it's all decked out with lights and sound system and stuff, and they take it to parades and so forth. Apparently this club wasn't satisfied to just have Walter the bus, so they have since built Calliope, and Calliope is pulled around by Heathen, which by now maybe you figured out was our Walter crash truck. And Heathen has been taken out of fire service and now spews fire. I understand that that the apparatus that it has can shoot fire 20 or 30 feet straight up in the air. I don't know if it's propane or how they do it, but these are obviously some inventive people. And Heathen, Calliope, Walter the bus, and I don't know what they call their Baja bug, the giant Baja bug, but they engage in a kind of a fanciful gathering of people out in the desert somewhere near they call
This is the Beatles music.
I don't know, but you might do an internet search on Burning Man. It's fascinating, and it's honestly I think it's a bunch of Silicon Valley geeks that are smoking something fun, and they go out in the desert and have a week-long gathering of about 50,000 people, and their goal is to leave after 7 days the desert without a trace of them having ever been there, and they do this every year. Anyway, I'd encourage you to poke around on the internet, look at some pictures of Burning Man.
There's your story.
Different strokes for different folks.
Anyway,
Millennium hippies.
all of the bus.
Jeff, Deb wants to bring up. So yeah, please.
Oh, see,
Have a
come on up
seat.
here in front of me.
It's probably loosely related.
I was gonna say, are we gonna wait till David gets here?
It's up to you folks.
I mean, is David gonna be here, David Morton?
He should be. He was. I saw him in here earlier today. Right? He's back.
Yeah, I saw it.
He should be here sometime.
He said see you this evening.
Okay. Can you continue to stick around?
Oh yeah. No.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Deb. Okay. Also, I am going to want to give you an update on contract negotiations. So either now or after the meeting or whatever, I would like to have an executive
We
session.
could do it now while we're waiting on David, if that works out.
Great idea.
Yeah.
You want a motion now?
5 minutes or something.
Is he our Burning Man?
That's it.
Smoking.
Let's do this.
We'll go to motion. You want it now?
If you guys want to, I mean, I think we should be able to get it done probably before 7 or shortly after
Okay.
7.
Yes.
We'll go
we
into
can do
executive
that.
session to discuss
Caucus won't take long.
collective bargaining.
Second.
Okay.
I'll go get my stuff. Give me a few minutes.
Mayor, will there be anything after you come out of executive session?
No. Nope. Well, the meeting will come out. But no, nothing taken to that.
Hey, where the mayor's getting stuff. It's 5 minutes.
We had to work over.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marshall had an email to us first thing this morning and said,
Jay's towing. City doesn't get any kind of a surcharge on you.
It went better than I anticipated because I kind of wanted to be off this week because Whitney's getting married next week, and I'm going to work today and tomorrow, and then I'll be off. So
What we do is we pay Jay's, I believe, $250 a month storage for whatever they store. They actually have more vehicles than they can store in the section that he has fenced off for us. So some of the stuff is outside of our compound, but he, to my knowledge, still just charges $250 a month flat. When we sell the vehicles, the proceeds from that will go. I act as the auctioneer myself, so there's no auctioneer fee. So 100% of the money that comes from the cars will go to the law enforcement fund, which is part of the police department's fund.
Right?
Sometimes I will sell other city assets, and if those other assets happen
We're going to go into
to
executive
purchased
session.
as an example,
Or
like
contract
a
negotiations.
lawnmower from the fire department that was bought by the Fire Levy 1,
Long story cut
whatever
short.
proceeds I would get would go back into Fire Levy 1.
But there's no incentive, like,
Son-in-law, his dad,
Right.
Marco, his sister or somebody is not.
they're towing it, right? The car's towed. If
They said they
somebody
needed
buys
they needed some more people, so she got a word more.
any little.
She asked Martino, and she goes, well, Jim might want to. So when Jim went for
And I know
his stuff,
Heath
when
would
they got
not
done, they said,
do
we
it
hired
like
an
that.
interview, so we still need more people. They
I
said,
don't know, they do camera enforcement.
Well, that's different.
Alright.
But no, this was, I mean, what they're doing, what's doing, they can bring all their traffic offenses
he goes, well, I'm wondering, I'll send you a
civil
case all this kind of stuff.
and people are getting $250.
They'll cut it in.
No,
it's like,